In October 1994, a 26-year-old Dayton, Ohio man stepped off a city bus and walked toward a nightclub. He was never seen again, his body was never found, and no questions have ever been answered. Nearly 3 decades have passed, and his disappearance would become the subject of a highly anticipated Netflix documentary, Vampires of Gem City, only for the project to be quietly shelved without any explanation. Join us today as we discuss the unsolved disappearance of George Phillip Gall and its alleged connection to a vampire coven in Dayton, Ohio. Welcome back to
Unknown,
Unsolved,
Unseen.
Triple U.
Woohoo!
We got a sicky McGee over here.
Yeah, I'm going to be sick today, so sorry if I don't sound as great, everybody, but welcome back to episode 92 of the podcast, to Unknown, Unsolved, Unseen. Talk about all your creepy, unsolved mysteries and whatnot. I'm your very sick host, Frank.
And I'm your will likely get sick host, Sage.
I thought you were going to say in good health, Sage.
Well, I don't know when the last time I was in good health was.
Fair enough.
So, I'm just waiting for it to hit me. There's going to be a lot of coughs to edit out.
This is going to be a hell of an episode to edit.
Lots of sniffs, too, but that's okay. So, we're going to be talking about the disappearance of a man in Dayton, Ohio in the early 90s.
What year did you say?
94.
94.
I'm realizing that in my intro I said nearly 3 decades. At this point, it's been over 3 decades. But at the time that the Netflix documentary was coming out, it was nearly 3 decades.
Now that's wow. It feels weird that that's now 3 decades.
I know we're almost there.
Yikes! You know, we heard last night. If you have kids, or if you're gonna have kids, you gotta have them before you're 30, or else you're wasting your life.
Yeah, that was crazy.
All right, now, do you want to keep going on?
Yeah, do you have any announcements or anything before we get started?
Today.
All right.
I'm too sick to think of anything.
Okay.
I feel like ass right now, and it sucks so much.
That's okay. So we do
Not
have
really
some.
Okay, but I get it.
It's okay. So we do have some trigger warnings. We have disappearance and death, discussions of occult activity, including human sacrifice and beheadings.
Vampires?
And vampires was my last one.
Is that a trigger warning?
I don't know, for some, because there's going to be talk of blood, maybe. I don't know. There's not, but just in case people assume there will be. So today we're going to find ourselves in the city of Dayton, Ohio, a place where Frank and I have been multiple times for family events. While it may seem beautiful and have a traditional city-like atmosphere, what is lurking beneath the surface may be even more disturbing than we know.
Dun, dun, dun.
But we're going to begin first with the disappearance, and not the vampire coven. So we will get to the vampire coven, though.
All right.
So we're going to begin with the disappearance of George Phillip Gall. He was known to his friends and family as Phil, so I'm going to call him Phil throughout this.
Was he nigh?
What?
Was he nigh?
No.
And was he a science guy?
No, this is Phil, not Bill.
You know what? The sickness be fucking the brain.
Yeah. He was born June 1st of 1968, and at the time of his disappearance, he was living and working as a roofer in Dayton, Ohio, with his wife Helen and their infant daughter. He was known to be a family man with no known criminal background, no serious substance use issues, and no history that suggested that he intended to disappear and leave his new family. He and his wife were reportedly in the process of planning a big move and had recently signed a lease on a new home prior to his disappearance. That lease was signed in the week that he disappeared.
Oh, so he definitely had plans.
Yeah. It is not believed that Phil simply voluntarily vanished and left his family behind. So life would change drastically for Phil's family when on the night of October 13th, 1994, Phil left his home, located in the 300 block of Seminary Avenue, around 11 p.m., after he and his wife got into an argument, reportedly needing some air. This was not an unusual occurrence for the couple, but it wasn't severe enough for anyone to believe that it would cause him to leave his wife and child forever. So, regular kind of domestic dispute type thing, but not anything that was, overtly violent or anything like that. Just a time where he wanted to get out of the house for a little bit to kind of calm down from that.
Okay.
He boarded a Dayton Regional Transit Authority bus that was headed downtown, where, according to the bus driver, he would exit near 4th and Main Streets, which was a busy area at the time of his disappearance. Witnesses reported that Phil was last seen walking toward a now defunct nightclub called Asylum, a Gothic-themed venue that was popular in the 1990s alternative scene. It was located on Patterson Road nearby. He was reported to have been wearing a black and white checkered flannel shirt and jeans, and unfortunately, he would never return home, and he would never again contact his family. In 2002, after 8 years with no contact or sightings, the state of Ohio declared Phil deceased, but his body, his belongings, and his story have never been found. Several aspects of Phil's disappearance immediately troubled investigators and family members. He left behind approximately $1,000 worth of roofing tools, which would be essential for his livelihood, where he was employed by Williams Brothers Roofing and Siding Co. in Dayton. He took no personal belongings, clothing, or money, indicating...
This wasn't pre-planned, this was...
Yeah.
Is that... Sorry.
Yeah, so it indicated that it wasn't... he didn't take any of that stuff, so there was no preparation for, a new life or whatever. And what I think is interesting, and this was just a thought that I had, was this is especially interesting to me because it probably would have been pretty easy for him to take those things if he was planning to leave, because stuff was already getting packed up for the new move. So,
it'd be easier to do without anybody noticing.
Yeah, there's stuff that's already packed up. He could swipe some stuff.
Yeah.
Wouldn't really matter.
So he had virtually nothing.
Yeah. He had strong family ties, including a newborn child. Total, I think she was under 6 months, maybe. They never said her actual age, but I'm assuming by infant they would mean something like that. He had made future plans, like I said, including housing arrangements. He signed a release with his wife on a new home. They were planning to move in the coming weeks. And there's no evidence that he withdrew any large sums of money or, used a card or anything like that at anything outside of the region. And he would have needed money to, get anywhere. I mean, at this... Yeah. Could he hitchhike? Sure, but even then, he would have needed...
get somewhere how are you going to pay for food, any other transportation, lodging?
Yeah. So, what happened to him on that fateful night in October of 1994?
That's a good question.
In reality, we are not sure that we will ever know.
So there's been, not a single trace of him anywhere?
Nope. Not a single one.
How long did they search for?
They've been searching for years. The family has never given up.
So do they have any idea of his foul play?
Nope.
Nothing. Literally nothing.
Literally nothing. He off the face of the earth.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I hate stories like that because it just sucks because you want there to be answers for the family.
Yeah. Well, it gets pretty interesting from there because when there comes no evidence, no body, nothing, what do we get?
Conspiracies?
Yep. And so, for years, Phil's disappearance remained one of the many unsolved missing person cases across the United States, with a family he left behind that continued to search for him and is still searching for him and want answers. All of this would take an extremely dramatic turn in 2008 when retired Dayton Police Lieutenant David Williams publicly claimed to the Dayton Daily News that Phil's disappearance may have involved occult activity directly connected to the Asylum nightclub, where Phil was last seen headed towards prior to his disappearance.
First off, was the nightclub was it defunct when he went there or now defunct?
Now defunct.
Okay. And who made that claim again?
Retired Dayton Police Lieutenant David Williams.
Okay, I just make sure. I thought you said lieutenant, and I'm like, is it somebody with, authority? I just take a second reanalyze that.
That's okay. Lieutenant Williams was, quote, a nationally recognized expert on the occult and gangs. So I guess he wouldn't have a reason to lie, if he is.
A lot of things are pointing to occult without anything to it, thanks to the Satanic Panic.
Yeah, I do talk about that a little bit later, so we can definitely have a discussion on that. There could be truth in this. Who knows? Could just be a crazy story, which, you guys can all determine that for yourselves. According to Lieutenant Williams, he was undercover at the bar. So he went, after Phil's disappearance, he went undercover and went to the bar. When he talked to the bartender from the nightclub, who informed him that Phil had been murdered and beheaded for an occult ritual, and that his head was sold to an occult collector from inside the nightclub.
That's kind of freaky and very oddly specific as well.
Yes.
The fuck?
This reportedly occurred on the upper floors of the nightclub, where the general public was unable to access. To Williams, like you said, the bartender gave enough intricate details to make the story believable, and an investigation was actually opened up into the club.
Jeez. The
bartender allegedly reported that Phil's body was placed inside a storm sewer tunnel underneath the club that was accessible from inside the nightclub. So you could access it elsewhere, but where they would have put his body was only accessible via inside the nightclub. Authorities did extensive searches of the sewer tunnel, but ultimately found no body, no forensic evidence, and no evidence of foul play. They did find what they described as occult markings, suggesting that there could have been some sort of ritualistic occultist behavior that was occurring within the tunnels. And at what point, what do you consider occult markings?
Just regular graffiti can be considered that sometimes.
Yeah, no, graffiti is going to be anywhere. And this is also, this is Dayton, Ohio. It's a pretty big city. Relatively speaking, right? Obviously, it's not Pittsburgh or Cincinnati or things like that, but Dayton's, it's not small.
Yep.
Critically, none of these claims were supported by physical evidence. No remains found, no arrests made, no official police report confirming a homicide, ritual killing, or organized occult group connected to Phil's disappearance.
So there's occult imagery in the sewers. Where again did that come from?
That's what the police found whenever they did extensive searches of that area.
And did they catalog those?
Reportedly, but there's really no report or anything done.
Okay, that's probably one you have to do a request for information, which, unless you're somebody doing the documentary, you probably don't know exactly what to ask to get it right.
Yeah, exactly. So I have no idea what those markings look like. I don't know what they are at all.
I'm curious if it's just typical graffiti or actually is.
All the sources I had described as occult markings, but that's based off of Lieutenant Williams' report in 2008 when he talked to the Dayton Daily News. So, however he viewed occult markings is what it would be.
Which it can be subjective, unfortunately.
And part of me thinks that too, because that it's subjective, because he's supposedly an expert in the occult and gangs. And so I think that he would be biased towards seeing that kind of stuff.
That's a really good point.
If he was directly looking into the occult, being told that there was a ritual, I think that he would have some kind of confirmation bias on the markings. While in the club, Detective Williams noticed that the club attracted, quote, a large gothic vampire-like crowd. He alleges that this nightclub was a secret meeting place for a coven of vampires.
Like people who act like vampires, or actual vampires?
Actual vampires.
Oh, wait, who said that? Who claimed that?
This is the detective, lieutenant.
Okay, the same lieutenant.
Yep.
So he's a vampire.
All this information's coming from him.
Okay, I just want to make sure it wasn't somebody else putting the piece together. I forget his name.
The detective?
Yeah.
Lieutenant Williams.
Williams, okay. I need to remember that name.
No arrests have been made, or forensic evidence found, The story of Phil's disappearance quickly became entangled with local folklore of the Dayton area. A new reputation is home to an alleged vampire coven that was described as the largest in the United States outside of the coven that's located in New Orleans.
Oh.
So these are not like people who...
Now, I'm familiar with New Orleans vampire stories, if those exist.
Yeah.
That's like your hub of vampire stories.
Yeah, and so people say that this Dayton coven is the largest outside of that one in New Orleans.
Intriguing.
Intriguing indeed. This speculation was brought forth largely online and through word of mouth, obviously. That is until February of 2024, when streaming service giant Netflix announced on its website, What's on Netflix, that a new documentary would be airing soon. The Vampires of Gem City.
Oh.
Did you know that Dayton's called Gem City?
Nope.
I actually didn't look up why. Now I want to know. I'm going to look it up.
All right, let me know what you find on that.
Did
you find a lot of gems there or something?
Dayton earned the nickname, this is from Google Gemini, Gem City.
Gem and I. Ha ha ha.
From an 1845 Cincinnati Daily Chronicle article, a visiting writer praised Dayton as, quote, the gem of all of our interior towns due to its well-maintained streets, thriving businesses, and beautiful surroundings. Later, local journalists and the Board of Trade officially adopted the catchy moniker.
Oh, that's cool. That's what I wanted.
No, there is supposedly a racehorse that was named Gem that was trained and owned in Dayton.
Still not too cool. Something like there'd be like secret gems hidden.
Yeah. The Gem moniker is still very much alive locally and is even represented as one of the 4 key themes in the city's official flag. Interesting. Well, anywho.
City flags. You gotta love them.
Interestingly, on Netflix's site, there was no release date that was indicated at the time of the announcement. Just that this documentary was going to be coming.
Interesting.
Yes. Early descriptions suggested the series would examine how rumor, fear, and folklore can grow around unsolved crimes. But for Phil's family, the documentary represented something more. A chance for renewed public attention and possibly new information and new eyes being brought to the case. I mean, you've seen how many times, podcasts bring light to something or documentaries bring light to something unsolved, and somehow, some way, like it ends up being solved because somebody hears that and happens to have information, or new evidence comes out because there's a renewed interest in the case, things like that. So that's kind of like what Phil's family was banking on. They're like, okay, this is going to bring, national attention to the case of our missing loved one. Yeah, we'll do it. So this would, of course, spark intense interest among those interested in the paranormal, the occult, and true crime. What originally started out as a documentary discussing Phil's disappearance and bringing new light to the case quickly became focused more on the vampires and much less on Phil.
That is unfortunate.
Yes. It was originally set to be directed by David Holthouse.
So real quick, let's get real. That's why people are clicking on it.
Yeah. But so it was originally set to be directed by David Holthouse, but he ended up being replaced by Joshua Rofe. I think is how you say it. Rofe, maybe. R-O-F-E, but it has the...
Okay, I know what you mean, though, but...
So, who was known for directing high-profile documentaries, such as Bob Ross, Happy Accidents, Betrayal, and Greed.
Oh.
Isn't that crazy? He also had a part in the TV series Sasquatch.
Oh, the one we watched a while back, right?
Yeah.
That was actually good. We gotta rewatch it sometimes.
When we do the Sasquatch episode?
Probably. I want to do that soon, actually.
The family reported that when the change was made from Holthouse to Rofe, however you say it, the documentary would shift from Phil's disappearance to an intense focus on the vampire coven of Dayton, Ohio. The exact description for the documentary stated, for the last 30 years, Dayton, Ohio has been home to the largest coven of vampires outside of New Orleans. When a man goes missing in the goth nightclub they use as their headquarters, the case goes cold until a police officer comes forward in 2008 with a story. What I find most interesting about this description, but also equally as fucked up, is that it first identifies the vampires rather than what the documentary was supposed to be about.
I think you should lead it up with the guy going missing and then link into it.
Cool that, you're bringing clicks and people's attention, but also this really should be about the missing persons case, not vampires. As cool as vampires can be. So yeah, not talking about the disappearance of Phil off the bat, we're talking more about vampires. Helen Gall, Phil's widow, and his maternal uncle, Dan Phelan, said that producers had contacted the family in 2021. So 3 years prior to Netflix announcing that they were going to be releasing this documentary, the family had already been working with them.
How did the family feel about this documentary?
So Helen, who was still in search of answers, like his wife, was happy for anyone to bring more attention to the unsolved mystery of her husband's disappearance. So she was like, okay, I can get behind, whatever with the vampires, as long as this brings attention to the case of my husband. The documentary was also going to explore the unyielding search that Phil's mother, Kathy Gall, did, and before she passed away. And the family worked with Netflix for 3 years on making this documentary.
Jeez.
Yeah. So by the time that the Netflix had announced that the documentary was going public, the family had already been working with Netflix for nearly 3 years. Talking about what happened that night, talking about Phil, talking about the searches that they've been doing for 3 decades, all kinds of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So Dan, that's Phil's uncle, again, reported that producers flew him and his family to Los Angeles to interview him about whether he believed the urban legend of Phil's disappearance and death, or whether he thought it was a myth. Dan stated that he does not believe in the urban legend, but he does believe that Phil is now with his now deceased mother, who searched for answers about her son's disappearance until her death in 2016.
Oh.
So his mom wasn't going to be a part of the documentary, as at this time she had passed, but they were, her other son, which is Dan, and then Phil's wife were going to make sure that they brought up just how much she continued to search for him in the last 3 decades of her life. Well, 2.5, I guess, at that point. But all of this would change when Helen Gall and Dan Phelan received an email in August of 2024, just 6 months after announcing the announcement of the documentary. This email was from producer M. Elizabeth Hughes, and she was the producer of the documentary, and stated that Netflix would no longer be airing the documentary.
Why?
There's no answers.
Did they reach out for answers trying to figure out?
Yep.
Also, was the documentary completed?
Yes.
So there is a finished work of this out there somewhere.
Yes.
Sorry, this is just so confusing.
Yeah. Despite the changes, the family was deeply invested in seeing the documentary through to its conclusion in hopes that it would heat up the cold case and bring light to the disappearance of Phil, who is their loved one. So to receive this email was absolutely devastating to them. Helen Dahl was quoted as saying, quote, "I was hoping they would air it so people would know what happened to my husband so we could get the word out there. I need answers as to why they did this." Netflix provided no explanation.
Shocker.
And have yet to release any statements as to why they canceled the showing.
And when, again, was this canceled?
August of 24.
August of 24.
So almost 2 years ago.
Okay.
They have also not stated whether the series was canceled or delayed, or addressed whether the material might be released elsewhere.
Because if it's completed, it should be released elsewhere eventually.
Hopefully.
I hope it would. I'm not saying it has to, but I would hope.
Yeah, so there's 3 years of interviews and films that Netflix has somewhere.
And, like, they should know that shit like this is sensationalized and people eat up this shit all the time.
Yeah, which would make more,
I mean, shit, the stuff they put out that kind of, like, glorifies, like, Dahmer in a way is, like...
Yeah.
Gets good views.
Yeah, and Ed Gein.
Yeah.
I was thinking in my head, like, as much as it's weird to me that they connected it to vampires and stuff, it almost increases the odds, I would think, that people would click on the documentary and learn more about Phil's disappearance.
Exactly.
And so I don't know. I don't know why they did that.
I can't answer either.
I wasn't able to find anything anywhere, and it's become very popular all of a sudden on my Instagram page. I keep getting reels about it. I don't know if I hope that I saved the post because I can't remember who I...
Now, for vampires in this, are we talking like your traditional person vampire, or are we talking like a scrawny, skinny creature thing?
There was no description.
Okay, because you got your typical people vampires, and then if you look at some like Animal Planet's Lost Tape, it's more in line with actually something like the Pale Crawler that we talked about last week.
Yeah. So the person that I got the idea from, her name is Ohio Side Quest on Instagram.
Ohio is a side quest. Actually, I think this episode now also makes Ohio our most visited location episode-wise. Fuck.
She says, vampires in Dayton? Did you think we forgot? I didn't. I've been researching this cold case for the better part of 2 years now. It's the rabbit hole I'll continue to fall down. So some people said, oh my gosh, I remember listening to a podcast that did research into this. It's so interesting. The largest cult/organization of vampires in the country is in Ohio. Someone said, there are Mosaic temples in every town in Ohio. The
Mosaic or Masonic?
Masonic, sorry. Masonic
Mosaic.
temples. Wow, I'm so dumb. There are Masonic temples in every town in Ohio. The windows all covered. The Athenaeum in Columbus was a huge temple, now a wedding venue.
So Masons are also vampires.
Well, this is interesting. Dayton is the home of the Wright brothers and flight discovery. Advanced technology delivered to humans. Imagine that.
So the Wright brothers were in league with the vamps. Am I reading that right? Is that what you just told me?
I didn't. What?
Is that what you just basically told me in that comment, that
the Wright brothers were vampires?
In league with the vamps?
That or they were vampires, yes.
I think they were in league with the vamps. I don't think they are the vampires. But the Wright brothers and those damn vamps.
Oh, this is an interesting comment. I worked at an event at the Masonic Temple in Dayton and was in the wrong room. This older man approached me and said, enjoying the evening, Kelly? This is from Real Kelly Brennan on Instagram. Never met him, wasn't wearing a name tag, and had just arrived. The event was a Greater Dayton blood drive, but I swear I saw something that said Blood Society. I also take pictures of every event, and there are none looking back. Crazy.
That's a very bold statement. And I don't mean to like discredit, but a lot of people just say random shit online because they can. But who knows? They could be right.
I should have looked at her link tree because supposedly she has like a bunch of Dayton vampires. Oh, Homegirl has an entire... Oh, I already used all those. Look at me go.
Oh, all the same sources you already have?
Yeah. She posted a second video because she was very surprised with how many people interacted with her first one. She says, it's very important to me to represent the case as accurately as possible. It takes time to thoroughly research a case as complex as this one, especially considering the leap from 90s goth nightclub to vampires. I want to honor the memory of George Phillip Gall. I was not anticipating this many people latching onto that video. If you have a real tip, lead, or concrete article for me to follow, please let me know. Thanks. So I would say go do that if anyone has any information. I do have in another area where we'll talk about who you can contact. But I just, thank you to Ohio Side Quest for, she's also from Dayton, which I think is interesting, for giving me this idea. I obviously probably didn't put as much research into it as you would in whatever it is that you decide to do, but I'm extremely appreciative that I got this idea because it's so fascinating to me. Also, her bio says curiosity needs no passport, and I think that's a wonderful
That's pretty good bio.
tagline.
I like that tagline.
Yeah. So thank you to her.
Now, here's a good question about these alleged vampires.
Hit me with it.
Do they like to play baseball?
I'm not sure. I would think that most vampire playing baseball players or vampire baseball playing people, whatever. Baseball playing vampires, oh my god, my brain wasn't working, exist in Forks, Washington. So, not sure about Dayton, Ohio.
Just curious.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen some vampires allegedly play baseball, and they play pretty well.
What a deep dive into Twilight. Well, that was a deep pool.
Elite ball knowledge, as they say online.
What? What does that mean?
Elite ball knowledge.
All right, I'm just going to let that go. So here's what we can confirm. George Phillip Gall disappeared in Dayton, Ohio on October 13th, 1994, where he was last seen walking toward a nightclub called Asylum sometime after 11 p.m. His remains have never been found, and no questions have been answered. He was declared legally deceased in 2002, nearly 8 years after his disappearance.
I'm going to say, based on everything in time frame wise, unless he escaped and got a new identity, he's probably passed away at this point.
Yeah. To this day, the case remains unsolved. The documentary remains unaired. Netflix has never publicly explained the decision to cancel the documentary, and Phil's family continued to have no answers. Additionally, no credible law enforcement agency has ever confirmed the existence of a vampire coven in Dayton that is sacrificing people. I don't know about a vampire coven that's not sacrificing people, whether that's been confirmed, but reportedly there's none that are sacrificing people, which is good. There has also never been any evidence that has been produced tying such a group, or really anything, to Phil's disappearance. What does exist is a mixture of speculation, secondhand accounts, folklore, and a real, genuine missing persons case that remains unsolved, and a family that has no answers. Something that Frank brought up earlier that I was thinking about as well is that the disappearance of Phil happened at a very critical time in American history, which is the Satanic Panic era. Obviously, we know that West Memphis 3 was, I think, was that Kansas? Or Arkansas?
I think Kansas.
It's one of the
God, I hate the fact that
it's either, I
don't remember where the fuck Memphis is. No, Memphis is in Tennessee.
No, this is West Memphis.
Oh, West Memphis. Okay, then yeah.
I think it's Kansas or Arkansas. I don't remember. I could totally be wrong.
I'm pretty sure it's Kansas that borders there. You know why I know Memphis is in Tennessee?
Oh, that's the birthplace of Elvis?
No. Because they have an American landmark in Memphis, Tennessee.
What is that?
The Bass Pro Shop Pyramid in Memphis, Tennessee.
Oh, I've passed that.
You always gotta love the fact that American ingenuity brought us the Bass Pro Shop Pyramid in Memphis, Tennessee.
Didn't we pass that at one point?
No, we didn't. Kyle and Billy had been there, and I think...
Oh, it must have been on my way back from Vegas.
Trigger warning here for anyone who does not like sexual discussions. Billy has a shirt that says, I got my dick sucked at the Bass Pro Shop Pyramid in Memphis, Tennessee.
Did he buy that at?
No way.
Oh, God, okay, good. That. Good, that would have been a crazy thing to sell at Bass Pro Shops. That would have been terrible. But
one of them, and I think it's him, has a shirt that references the Bass Pro Shop Pyramid in Memphis, Tennessee.
It's like that girl who I saw driving, who I really wanted to stop and say something to, who had the bumper sticker that said, Mothman ate my ass in the parking lot of an Arby's. If I was braver, I would put that on my car. But I'm not braver. Instead, I'll just put I believe.
Hi there, Atlas.
Hi, baby. So what do you know about the Satanic Panic?
That it all started over claims of There's too many blankets there for him to judge.
You got it, buddy. You got it. You got it, Atlas. Go ahead.
Go up.
You got it, buddy. That was so funny.
I think my feelings were hurt.
Lay down, honey.
So I know it started with, I think, what was it, preschool, right? Or kindergarten? But a lot of fears that Satanism was taking over throughout the country. This was in the 80s, right?
The Satanic Panic?
Yeah.
Yeah, it started in the 80s.
And there's a lot of people right now trying to rewrite, saying that it was actually never bad and that it was all true. Yada yada.
Yeah, which is stupid because it was true, I would say. I know we had mentioned West Memphis 3, but like that one in particular is a massive like example of how the Satanic Panic like convicted people who did not commit a crime.
It was basically really just a witch hunt.
It was a different type of witch hunt.
Quite literally looking for witches.
Yeah. Well, that's why like I was reading a source, and I'll link it down below, but it's on vampirology and Satanism and the connection between the two, because obviously the Satanic Panic was the belief that people were practicing Satanism, which is the worshiping of Satan and demons, if you look at it in the very like colloquial way. I know that there's a lot more to Satanism, I think, than that, but overall it's the religion of the opposite of Christianity. Am I getting that correct?
Really hope we can't hear Atlas lick his balls.
Well, if not, we'll just leave your sentence in there. But am I correct?
I think you're pretty correct. The whole entire Satanic Panic thing, and like it's just the fact that it still has not left the pop culture of now is just insane.
Yeah, I agree. But if you look at like, oh my god, what would you call it? If you look at, old texts and things like that, history books, whatever you want to call it,
it's
vampires
been happening for a while.
But vampires are considered demons.
Yeah, and it's basically anything that's not natural. I mean, werewolves would fall under there. Crawlers we talked about last week would fall under there. Redheads might.
Wow, thanks.
Specifically gingers.
Yeah.
Those soulless freaks.
Wow, thank you. I just feel so absolutely loved by you right now.
I love you too, honey.
Oh my gosh. Obviously, vampires are considered a type of demon, so there's, I would say, what could be a pretty decent connection between the Satanic Panic and this idea that there's vampire covens and what was going on. This was 1994. This was still in the Satanic Panic era.
Yeah. And the Satanic Panic still comes up today. I don't even think we're truly fully out of Satanic Panic, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's too heavy of a belief still, especially with like the current Christian nationalist movement that is growing, seeks to bring back Satanic Panic. Whether you agree or not, that's the reality of things now. They firmly want to bring it back.
Yeah. West Memphis 3 was in 1993. So this is like pretty much at the height of Satanic Panic. And back to this source that I was reading. They talk about how like the idea of vampirism kind of exploded in 1980 to like 1995-ish, which is the exact time period of the Satanic Panic. And I don't often, when you think of Satanic Panic, I don't often hear a lot about people connecting that to vampires. I never really thought about connecting it to vampires until reading this.
I just assumed that anything that you consider occult and fantasy that I just connected with myself personally. But maybe it's because I'm more like follow this stuff than you too as well.
That's true. I was reading in this one source that they say that is a lot of resurgence of vampire scares when there is Satanism scares. But it's interesting that those are most often left out, I would say, of discussions of the Satanic Panic. So who knows what's going on there.
Intriguing.
This source also talks about that there's a clinical definition of clinical vampirism.
What is the clinical definition?
This is what this person has to say. So it says the history of clinical vampirism, or I guess I should probably link the source. So this is the Center for Studies on New Religions. It's called Satanism, Scares, and Vampirism from the 18th Century to the Contemporary Anti-Cult Movement by Massimo Introvigone. So this was presented at the World Dracula Congress in Los Angeles in 1997.
The World Dracula Congress.
I don't know what that is.
Is that where all the Draculas gather together and go blah, 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 blah?
Maybe. So I don't know exactly, if whether we didn't learn about this in school, I guess is what I'll say. So it says the history of clinical vampirism has been documented in 1992 by Richard Knoll. Clinical vampirism has been described repeatedly by a number of 20th century psychiatrists, and Knoll proposes to rename it Renfield syndrome in honor of the character in Bram Stoker's Dracula. The progression of Renfield syndrome is outlined by Knoll as follows. 1, a pivotal event often leads to the development of vampirism, which is blood drinking. This usually occurs in childhood, and the experience of bleeding or the taste of blood is found to be exciting. After puberty, the excitement associated with blood is experienced as sexual arousal. The progression of Renfield syndrome follows a typical course in many cases. Autovampirism is generally developed first, usually in childhood, by initially self-inducing scrapes or cuts in the skin to produce blood, which is then ingested, to later learning how to open blood vessels in order to drink a steady stream of warm blood more directly. The blood may then be ingested at the time of the opening, or may be saved in jars or other containers for later imbibing, or for other reasons. Masturbation often accompanies autovampiristic practices. Zoophagia, literally the eating of living creatures, but more specifically the drinking of their blood, may develop prior to autovampirism in some cases, but usually is next to develop. Persons with Renfield syndrome may themselves catch and eat or drink the blood of living creatures such as insects, cats, dogs, or birds. The blood of other species may be obtained at places such as slaughterhouses and then ingested. Sexual activity may or may not accompany these functions. Vampirism is the true form in the next stage to develop, procuring and drinking the blood of living human beings. This may be done by stealing blood from hospitals, laboratories, and so forth, or by attempting to drink the blood directly from others. Usually this involves some sort of consensual sexual activity. But in lust, murder-type cases and other non-lethal violent crimes, the sexual activity in vampirism may not be consensual. I will say that is something that I've seen in true crime cases. The drinking. What's interesting...
People are weird.
If you could guess, if you had to guess, what psychotherapist or psychologist do you believe has some roots in vampirism? Extremely famous dude, father of Americans. Yep. So Sigmund Freud had some really interesting theories on how human development goes and things like that. I'm not surprised. There's a possibility that a lawnmower might turn on while we're recording the rest of this, or you could hear our dog. Either one, sincerely apologize, but...
We've been on pause for like 30 minutes because of them.
Yeah, so we want to, make sure that we get this done. So, apologies. Frank's also sick, and so obviously this is a shorter episode because we're accommodating for that. But either way, I don't know if this is real research or not, this source I was reading, but I do think that there is certainly a connection between the Satanic Panic, Satanism, and vampires. Just an interesting thing to think about. Maybe one day I could do an episode on vampires. Do we consider that a cryptid?
No, I'd put paranormal like last week's episode. I think this week's and last week's episode are very similar.
Okay.
And I really like both of them. Now, I do actually have a book on alleged true vampire sightings if you ever want to read it.
Ooh. Would doing an episode on vampires make sense?
Yeah.
For our podcast?
You
Okay.
know, that's perfectly within the bounds of what I think our podcast should cover.
How about vampires that live in Forks, Washington?
I don't know about that.
That sparkle and have the skin of a killer Bella.
How good are they at baseball, though?
Well, those ones are good at baseball. They break the sound barrier.
What was the song that played during that, too?
I don't remember.
I can hear the tune of it in my head.
I cannot. If you're looking for a really great deep dive, I mention Morbid, I think, every episode. But recently, over the last, 8 months, every other month, Morbid does a bonus episode. But every other month, they've been going through the Twilight movies and just analyzing them and how bad they are and, all the stuff that's wrong. Anywho, so back to this, finishing up. The shelving of Vampires of Gem City has only deepened the sense that Phil's story exists in a kind of limbo. Too strange to resolve easily, too unresolved to fade away. According to some Reddit users, simply for the funsies of hearing what they have to say, the documentary was shelved due to its potential to reveal hidden occult activity in the United States. User Better Call Saul wrote,
Better Call Saul.
yes, and it's Call, C-A-U-L, and Saul, C-A-U-L-L. So a little different. But they wrote, it's because Big Vampire is trying to hide the truth yet again, ... Shaking my head. SMH.
Damn. We got Big Library or Big Library from Skipper Scream, and now we have Big Vampire here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. User Tower Reversed wrote, they got too close to the truth and incidentally also got sacrificed by the same vampire coven.
Tragedy.
Yeah. Those were just some things that I found to be funny. Until new evidence emerges, the disappearance of George Phillip Gall remains exactly what it has been for over 32 years. An unsolved, haunting mystery, and a reminder of how easily fact can be overshadowed by fear and legend when the reality of truth is missing from the story. So let us not forget that this story's origin lies in the unsolved disappearance of Dayton, Ohio man George Phillip Gall, who had a loving family that is still searching for answers to this day. If you or someone you know has any information that could be important to the case, please contact the Dayton Police Department at 937-333-1070, or you can visit the link that we're going to put in the bio, which is the Dayton, Ohio government website, Investigations Division. Only call with genuine true tips or questions. No muddying the telephone lines with bullshit. That's my least favorite thing in the world. But if you have information or anything that could be important to the case, please reach out. You know, it would be great to have a case like this solved for a family who is clearly, obviously grieving, and it's been so long, and they had, the excitement that maybe there would be more stuff that would come out because of this documentary, and then to have that squashed is incredibly devastating. So there we go. Any last thoughts, Frank?
I was considering going into a long talk about my belief on vampires and paranormal stuff, but we are getting pretty far into the episode, and I feel like I'm going to lose my voice. So I think we should do a vampire episode later, maybe this year for Halloween.
Oh, I would love to do that. Me, pick me.
All right, you can do that. I already have one of my Halloween episodes in mind.
I haven't even thought about Halloween. Oh my god, it's Halloween almost. Halloween starts August. Duh.
It starts January 1st, right after Christmas season.
Honestly, that's fair. I can't wait to find out what Halloween diamond arts there are. I'm gonna so fuck those up. But anywho. Any other stuff?
I think that's about it that I have, so
right. Well,
do you have
that was
anything
all
else
I
to
had
say?
Nope, that was all I had for you, so.
Alright, well, time for the sign off. So if you guys like what you're listening to, go like, comment, follow, review, subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. Go check out our socials, especially our Instagram, if you want to see updates on the pod and other fun things we upload. And besides that, I think that should be it. So Sage, are we ready for our sign off?
We are.
And remember,
to look for
the unknown,
the unsolved,
and the unseen.
Thanks for listening.
Bye, guys. Watch out for vampires in the dark.
Keep your neck closed.